welcome to episode 10 of the EarthtonesGirl podcast. My name is Denise, and I'm coming to you today from my home in Yonkers, New York, where I live with my husband and our 2 children. You can find me on all of the socials as EarthtonesGirl. I am most active on Instagram. I am also on Ravelry, and the podcast has an email address, which is earthtonesgirl@gmail.com. So welcome everybody. I cannot believe that we're at episode 10 already. I'm blown away by that. I want to say a huge welcome back to any returning viewers, and an even bigger, warmer welcome to any new viewers. I am so happy that you're taking some time to spend with me today and to talk knitting and to maybe learn a couple of things. I'm very excited to share with all of you. I want to say a really big, heartfelt thank you. I've been getting a lot of new followers on Instagram, which is really wonderful, and the comments have been amazing, and there's also been a lot of new subscribers here to the podcast. It's just blown me away. I'm so touched and excited by all of that, and we have reached a milestone. The podcast has reached over 1,000 viewers, 1,000 subscribers. Oh my God, how did that happen? I feel like I was just at 500, and all of a sudden we are now over 1,000, and I have all of you to thank for that. So thank you so much. I know I just said it, but I am truly blown away. The comments have just been amazing. I am almost up to date. I think I have 2 that I didn't get a chance to reply to yet, but I will. And I'm stunned. I'm just so stunned. You all are enjoying it, and I feel so validated is not the word. I feel so motivated to put even more of myself into this podcast. I have been enjoying it so very much, and all of the feedback from all of you has just been amazing. There have been requests for tutorials and comments on things, and people really connect with things that I've said, and it's just been absolutely wonderful. I'm having such a great time. I am excited all the time. I haven't been this excited about knitting and sharing in so long, and it's just been absolutely wonderful. So I thank you all so much for that. And to show my gratitude, I want to do a really huge giveaway. I haven't decided what that's going to be yet, so if anyone has any ideas, just leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to give away some cutesy things. I've got lots of little gadgets and things that I want to throw in, but those will be extras. But the main part of the giveaway, of course, will be yarn. And to go along with the yarn, I'm trying to come up with a possible pattern idea. Not that I'm going to design a pattern. That's on the bucket list for later. But I'd like to find a yarn and pattern that might really go together, and gift it to you possibly on Ravelry. So I've just got some ideas in my head for a giveaway, and I'm really looking forward to that. So stay tuned. I will probably post that giveaway information on Instagram, so follow me there if you're not already. And I will also, I probably won't name the winner of the giveaway, obviously, because I haven't come up with the giveaway yet, but probably by the next episode I'll have some more information for you, and then we'll pick a winner after that. So let's see what I come up with. I'm really excited. I want to say thank you to all of you. I wish I could give everybody something. I really do. I know people say that, but I really genuinely wish that I could. I think it would just be so much fun. I know that's a lot of giveaways, but it would just be really lovely to give back what you all have been giving me. And I'm just so happy and excited and inspired and everything. So on that note, let's talk knitting, because I don't have a tremendous amount to share with you this week, but what I do have, I am thrilled with and can't wait to talk about. So let's get started. So I have one finished object for you this week. I finished my Hygge socks. Oh my God, they're amazing. Ready? Here they are. Oops, I'm so excited I'm dropping them. Here they are, you guys. They are all done. Let's pull back a little so you can see them. Oops, wait, we're a little hung up there. Let's fix that and make it pretty. hang on. There we go. Okay, so they're all done. My stripes are matching because I'm a little bit crazy about my stripes matching. Did a Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is my favorite. I do love the Afterthought heel, but when I'm doing something like this and there's the contrasting yarn comes with the main yarn, I just go ahead and do the Fish Lips Kiss heel because it's quick, it's easy. I don't really have to think about it, and I want to use the contrasting color just to keep with the beauty of the yarn. So here they are. I just want to zoom in a little bit. I've had some questions about my Fish Lips Kiss heel lately. How do I get the join? I hope this is showing up. How do I get the join to be pretty even here? I will try to do a tutorial for you. I'm gonna try to include that here. If I don't in this episode, then I might actually do it as a completely separate video, and the few tutorials that I've already done, I'm thinking about sort of pulling them out of the episodes and using that footage as separate tutorials on the channel. That way, if there's anything that you want to see in particular, you'll have those on their own playlist. I think that would be a little easier for people to look up what they're interested in. So I might do a little sample of it here, and like I said, I'll definitely create a playlist for tutorials for you. I think one of the reasons why I can get this join to be so snug is because I am doing weaving the ends in as I go, and I find that makes a really, really big difference. I used to, when I did this heel, I would keep the yarn live, so to speak. I didn't break the yarn from the main ball of the sock. I kept that live. I would change to the contrasting heel, do that heel, and then pick that strand, pick the yarn back up from the main sock, and it worked. It was great, but it required a lot more planning and thinking ahead to do that, and this join wasn't as clean. So now I just break it right where I want to, put the Fish Lips Kiss heel in, and then rejoin with the yarn. And I'm very careful where I break the yarn so that I can keep the number of stripes the same. This particular repeat is about 4, sometimes you get 5 rows like in here. So if I want to keep that even, I'm very careful where I break the yarn so that I can keep the number of rounds in the stripe the same. Okay, many people really won't care about that, but again, I'm very particular, so there you go. So this is my standard vanilla sock. Don't have to think about it. I cast on, this particular pair was 64 stitches. I'm going to talk about why I'm saying that in a minute. 64 stitches for this Fish Lips Kiss heel, and then I do a rounded toe. And this particular rounded toe is from the Knitting Expat, Mina Phillip. It's from her pattern. I'm using her decreases for the rounded toe. I just really like how that looks. I used to do a regular, I don't know if it's called a standard toe, but the decreases were less rapid. So there were more rounds of decreasing as opposed to the rapid decreasing that's in the rounded toe. And I just prefer, used to get points on that. I'll try to show you that in another pair of socks. But the points at the tip used to be a little sharper, and now I find this is much more round, and I really like that a lot. Now, the reason I mentioned 64 stitches with these is this particular yarn is really thick. It's very, very squishy. It's wonderful. I absolutely love it, but I think the sock is a little, just ever so slightly slouchy, which is fine. I would wear it more with the boots, with Uggs or like a winter boot, and those would look really great. The fit would be really comfortable, but I like my socks to be a little tighter in a regular shoe. So, which leads me into my whip for this week. So let's finish up with these. So here they are. I absolutely love them. They are done. This colorway is just so gorgeous. Again, the colorway, if you didn't see last week's episode, I apologize. The colorway is Hygge by Kristen of the Cozy Knitter. And I believe she still has some of this in stock right now if you want to run over to her Etsy shop and pick up a skein of this for yourself. And of course, links to everything I talk about will be in the description box down below. This yarn is amazing. It's soft, it's incredible. It smells really good too. I'm a yarn sniffer, as I know many of you are. So if you have the means to get a ball of this, these stripes are just incredible. I had so much fun with this pair. I just actually found them really peaceful to knit, in keeping with the name of the socks. So yeah, there we go. Made me very happy. So that's my only finished object for this week, and that's okay. I am going to now jump into my works in progress, so I will get those. Hang on. So I have started my February socks. The Hygge socks were my January socks and my first entry into my box of socks for this year. And I have already started my February socks. Thank you all again for your votes. We did that on Instagram, and I showed the colorway that I chose on the last episode. And I seem to be having a romance with the yarn from the Cozy Knitter right now. I just love her colorways. The yarn itself is so delicious. So I went with Heartbreaker, and here it is. Look at that, you guys. I have already turned the heel. The heel is done. Let's put that in profile so you can see. The heel is done. Look at that cuff. Isn't that, it's like a plum, sort of wine mauve. I'm not even sure what color to name this, but what name to give this color, but I just love it so much. And what I really love is the slight difference in the striping on this sock. I didn't realize when I purchased it that the stripes were going to work up this way, but I love it. I just love it. It's so different, and I find it makes it even more interesting to knit. I mean, just look at that, you guys. Isn't it beautiful? And I love how the grays are so tonal. At first, when I was knitting and I was down here, I thought, sorry, I'm gonna get the needle out of the way. I thought that this section in here, when I started, was going to be a white stripe, but it's not. It's just the beautiful tonal. And look at that. She was able to match it perfectly in every gray stripe. I don't understand how dyeing works, and a part of me really wants to learn, but a part of me doesn't, because there's no room to dye in my house, and I think that might push my husband over the edge. He is one of the most generous and patient people with me and my yarniness and habits, but I think that might, I don't know, that might do us in. I'm not quite sure. So again, here it is. And I also had some questions on Instagram about using 2 circular needles. Someone said, I don't remember her name, but if she's watching, hi. I know you had a question about using 2 circular needles, and when you put this down or put it in your project bag and you pick it back up, you're not quite sure which way you're supposed to go. So I understand that. So I'm just going to very briefly talk about that. I'm going to actually demo this. This will be another tutorial, and I will definitely put that one under separate cover. I'm not going to do that here. But basically, when I'm working on the 2 circs, when the yarn and the tail, so here's where I started. When these two are on the same side, I know that I've completed a round. Does that make sense? Let me pull back here so you can see. So again, when the working yarn and the tail, the beginning of the yarn, the beginning of the sock, when those 2 yarns are on the same side, I know I've completed a round. When they are on opposite sides, I've only gone halfway. So that way, and I know the yarn is always going to be, here it might be a little backwards, but the working yarn is going to be in my right hand because I usually throw. I can use both hands, but my more comfortable choice is to use my right hand, so I am a thrower, so a modified thrower, as I like to say. Not that that means anything to anyone but me. So I know that when the yarn is in my right hand, I have to, we all knit right to left, so although some knit the other way, and that's knitting backwards, and that's a whole other thing. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. If you haven't heard of that, it's really amazing to knit backwards on a short circumference. Sorry, I'm squirrel. I'm digressing. Okay, let's get back on track. So when the yarn is on the right side, it doesn't really matter so much about this, but it depends on where the yarn is. If I know they're on opposite sides, then I've only gone halfway. If I know they're on the same side, then I know I've completed the round. So that's basically it. But again, I'm going to demo that under a separate video. So here are my Heartbreaker socks, you guys. Oops, I dropped it. so excited. I absolutely love this colorway so very much. And I have another, I just ordered another skein. No, I don't have any yarn up there. There's no yarn in here, this house. Leah, like I really needed to order more yarn. But I couldn't help myself. Christina had another colorway that I hadn't seen before, and I don't knit with a lot of green, and this had greens and browns and some purples in there, and I couldn't resist. You know what? Okay, it just came in the mail this week. I'm gonna go grab it and show you. Hang on. So I couldn't help myself. How could you resist that? It's beautiful. Oh my gosh. And it's called, that's my yarny voice. It's called Woodland Realm, and the Lord of the Rings fan in me just could not resist a colorway named Woodland Realm. I had to have it. And there's some green in there, but it's not over the top. There's some speckles going on in the white stripe, and this is, I think it's showing up more plummy, but it's really a rich kind of chocolatey brown, like a milk chocolate. Oh my gosh, let me see if that shows up a little bit better. I know it's coming up really purpley plum, but it's very brown. I'm sorry about the light, but these are going to be my March socks because it's going to be St. Patrick's Day and I needed a little green. And it's the woods and it says fairies and hobbits and I just had to have it. So I'm a geek, you guys, a huge, huge, huge sci-fi fantasy geek. I will not bore you with all of it now, but you will get references from time to time. So there, this is I'm so happy to cast this on. This will be my little homage to my geekiness. So that covers socks. Let's go on to my other work in progress that I am beyond thrilled with. So hang on. I'm talking so fast, not from a lack of time, as I said I have in the past, but just because I'm so excited. And I'm sipping tea, and there's a sheep's butt. Having so much fun today. And that's the front of my mug. I got this mug, showed this on Instagram. I got this mug from David's Teas at the beginning, actually at the end of the summer. My cousin picked it up for me from the city, and the top sheep is upside down. It's just so cute. I can't stand it. I just love it so much. And this tea bag actually came from River City Yarns, which is where I ordered. They're in Canada, and I ordered the Addy Flexi Flips from them, and I had to, in order to get a certain level of shipping, I had to throw in a couple more things. And she mentioned, the woman I spoke to on the phone, I don't remember her name, I'm sorry, she mentioned that they had these silicone tea bags. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's amazing. They're reusable silicone tea bags. Love them. They steep the tea beautifully. It's so clean. You just wash them out when you're done and you can reuse your tea bag. Little contribution to trying to save the environment, which it desperately needs. So there you go. Again, all that information will be down below. So let's have a sip. I just had to digress and share this with you because I just love it so much. There it is again. I'm going to spill my tea if I'm not careful. Okay, last sip. Let's talk. Let's put that over there. Now, last week's episode, if you remember, I have developed an obsession with Selbu mittens and color work mittens, and I was doing them on, I purposely didn't rip it out because I wanted to show you again so you could see the difference. This was the sample that I had worked up in the Magpie yarn, and I gave all the reasons why I didn't like it. The yarn was a little too slippery, it wasn't gripping enough, I felt like the colors were sliding against each other. I felt like the yarn was sliding against each other. I loved the colorway, but all the other things were just weighing too much on my mind. So I kept this, again, just to show you the difference, and I started again. Look at that, you guys. Oh my gosh, what a difference the yarn makes. Wow. And this isn't even the right yarn for this project. I'll talk about that in a minute, but here is my Selbu mitten, my DK Selbu mitten. This pattern is called the Selbu mitten by Skeindeer Knits. I will put that down here for you. She had a Selbu mitten club that included 4 patterns. This pattern is sort of an intro pattern before the 4. And that's the one that I'm knitting. I mean, look at that. It's just, there's the cuff, there is the front. I mean, look at those decreases on the top. Oh my gosh. There is the palm. Look at that. Just, I just can't believe it. I know how to do this, but while you're knitting it, it's still a magic trick. And I think it's because you're holding the yarn so close to you and you're studying the chart and you're knitting along and you're not really realizing, you're just looking at one round at a time, one row on the chart at a time, and you're not really looking at what's growing, or at least I'm not while I'm knitting. And I tend to do these late at night so I can do big chunks of it at a time. So I'm just knitting along, and I don't really realize until I stop to put it down for the night how much it's grown and how incredible the pattern is. I mean, it's just, it feels like art. This just feels so amazing to me. Now, as you can see, I haven't done the thumb yet. I've already started. Here is the second mitten. I've already started. I haven't gotten very, very far. It's been a very busy 2 weeks, and I think it's been so busy because I've been studying Selbu mittens. Because this is what I do. I love traditional knitting, as we've talked about in the past, and once I grab on to a new technique, I want to study it. I want to learn it. I want to know everything there is to know about it, the history of it. I want to know what town it was developed in. I want to know about the people that lived in the town, what they had for breakfast. I mean, I go a little crazy. And I love history. I've always been a history buff. I studied, history was a big thing for me in college. It's always been a big part of my life. So when I can incorporate something I'm interested in and get the history behind it, I'm hooked. You've got me hook, line, and sinker. I am in. So I've been really studying these Selbu mittens, and just, it's incredible. Now, the 2 women that are, I'm just going to refer to my notes for a minute. The 2, wait, well, let's talk about the comparison. So now, can you see the difference? I mean, look at that. Yeah, this one, for sure. I still love this yarn. This will become something else that will be really, really beautiful, but it just was not right for this project. It was not right. When you look at this yarn, it is, again, still not the right yarn. This is actually Berroco Vintage DK, which is a wool acrylic blend. It has very little acrylic in it. I know, I said the A word, I'm so sorry. But that said, acrylic has come a long, I said it again. It's come a really long way, and I had this in my stash. I loved the colors. It had the toothiness that I was looking for, and I said, you know what, I'm learning, I'm practicing, I'm experimenting. So I just jumped in with it, and oh my gosh, the yarn is beautiful. It captured the stitches beautifully. It's really soft. Right now I have this on a little foam blocker. Here's the other one. I just have this on a little foam blocker in here. I made these from a kitchen table mat, and I just cut the shape out. I found the shape on Pinterest, and I just cut the shape out to the size that matched my hand. So I'm using these. I can use them for blocking. Because of the foam, it's fine to use them for blocking. I do plan on getting a proper set of Selbu mitten blockers, which Patricia, who is P4Chen on Instagram, which she's now selling, and I'll talk about her in a minute. But these, so that's what's in here right now. It's just, the yarn is just fantastic. It had that grip that I wanted. It's really soft. I don't think that I could really use these for like outside work, which a lot of people who wear Selbu mittens, they're in very cold climates, they are using their mittens to work outside. They're, you know, either carrying things, carrying wood, working around their homes, and these mittens, I don't know that they would hold up. The yarn would not hold up over time, but for this climate where I am, and I'm basically just using them for warmth, they are amazing. They are so soft. They fit wonderfully. Actually, I'm going to try this on and show you, popping out my little blocker And I'm going to show you. This one is for, I'll take off my watch because I always bump into it. Let's pop that off. And there we go. It is on. As you can see, it fits perfectly. I still have to do the thumb. I decided to do the waist yarn for the thumb. And Patricia, and back to Patricia. I've become rather obsessed with Patricia and her podcast. Let's talk about them for a moment. The two ladies that are hosting the Year of the Mitten knit along, and they're focusing almost primarily on Selbu mittens, are Rachel from TreeHouse Knits and Patricia from Knitography. All the information will be in the description box down below. And I have learned so much from those two incredible women in the last 2 weeks than I thought possible. It's amazing. And I don't know if you can tell, you probably can't tell, but my stitches down here, I can hold the yarn in both hands, but the tension in my left hand is just nowhere near as secure as my right. So I'm watching Rachel talk about that one day, and I got to about here on this mitten, and you can't really tell by looking at it, but I know the difference. The stitches, the stitch definition between here and here is dramatically different. And she suggested wrapping the yarn around your pinky twice. I usually wrapped it, I was only wrapping once, so I did wrap twice. Wow, the difference is amazing. I could see the difference within one round. Dramatically different in the tension. The stitches were just so much more defined. Absolutely beautiful. I didn't get the sloppy stitches. See, even here on the side, you can see they're a little more loose and inconsistent down here, but up here, much, much better. You can also see it, I think, even a little clearer along here. The stitches just became so much clearer. I was so grateful to her for that very simple tip. It made such a huge difference. So thank you so much for that, Rachel. And Patricia has been talking a lot about sort of the history behind these mittens. She is an expat living in Norway right now, and she's also been doing work on Selbu mitten blockers and sock blockers. If you haven't seen them on Instagram, they're absolutely incredible. I'm going to try to insert a picture. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. They're just beautiful. They are so beautiful. I have a set on order. They are coming soon, but they are all done by hand. Well, I say soon, but that could be 2 to 3 months, and that's really fine with me. They're all done by hand. The craftsmanship is incredible, and I am more than happy to wait for those. But here they are. Oh, and Rachel also talks about an afterthought thumb. Let's just think about that for a minute. We have afterthought heels. There's an afterthought thumb, and you basically do the same thing. I had already done this thumb the way it was described in the pattern, and I'm happy to do that. I've done that before with another pair of mittens that I've made. But when I heard about Rachel's afterthought thumb and I watched the tutorial, wow. So I plan on doing that for the second mitten. And again, these aren't going to be gifted to anyone. They are for me to learn and practice on. So if the thumbs don't match exactly, I have no problem with that. I'm happy to learn right now. But you basically, according to Rachel, you are working the thumb, the afterthought thumb, the same way that you would an afterthought heel. And she does it with waist yarn. She's using the waist yarn method. I know there's a no waist yarn method, but she's using the waist yarn method, and it looks so simple. You don't have to worry about any gaping. I don't know if you can see it in here, but any gaping at the sides. You don't have to pick up extra stitches. It was such a clean method of working the thumb, so I can't wait to try that. But I can't begin to tell you how happy I am with this mitten. I can't wait to get the other one finished. I only work on these at night because you're looking at charts, and if CJ calls me or Kira calls me and I lose my place, I admit it, I get a little bit cranky. I'm really sorry. So just to avoid the crankiness and pay attention to my children, I do them when everybody goes to bed. So this is my nighttime knitting, which isn't always good either because you get a little tired, but I have to use the time that is given to me. So here they are, and I am madly in love with them. I think they're just incredible. So the books that I'm using, I just want to talk about that for a moment. This book was the first, let's tuck that in for a minute. The first pair of Selbu mittens I ever knit came out of this book. And this was released by Schoolhouse Press many, many years ago. I don't even know if I could find a pub date. Aha, this is copyright 2007. So that's give or take when I knit the first pair. And what's amazing about this book, there are a lot of Selbu mitten books that are coming out right now. She does give some history, but what I love about this book is the technique section is fantastic. She goes into detail on every aspect of the mittens. On the cuff, she talks about the cuff, she talks about reading the charts, about the pointed fingertips and the thumbs. There's so much information in here. How to pick the stitches up. Sorry, I'm losing the book here. How to pick some of the stitches up. All of the pictures are really clear. So I have been finding this book to be very, very helpful. She does talk about yarn, not in great detail, but she does talk about yarn in this book. So if you have a chance to get that, again, this is published by Schoolhouse Press, which is Elizabeth Zimmerman and Meg Swanson's publishing company. It is their own company. So I've been using this book. And Rachel also talked about this book on her podcast most recently. She actually just completed, hold it this way, she just completed these mittens on the cover. They're stunning. They're absolutely stunning. And she's also using a lot of these mittens to learn the techniques. And she talks about yarn dominance and holding yarn in your dominant hand versus your non-dominant hand. And then also talks about, Arnie and Carlos just did a video too. If you're not familiar with them, you should really check them out. They're amazing as well. And again, it'll be down below. They don't talk about yarn dominance, or they refer to it, I think, in a slightly different way. So it's just interesting, and they are from Norway, so it's very interesting to hear how people are approaching color work and how they're holding their yarn and talking about the yarns themselves. Rachel also gives a link to the Wooly Thistle, which is a company that sells Norwegian yarn here in the United States, so I can't wait to get over there and place my first order with them. I do have some Norwegian yarn that I picked up at Vogue Knitting Live. It's thinner, it's a little bit thinner though. It's not for these mittens. This is a DK weight mitten, but for the patterns in this book and this one, and I have 2 other books coming, which I'll show you. I'll share those with you in another episode when they arrive. Those patterns call for a finer yarn, which is the yarn that I have here. Fingering weight, like a sport fingering, somewhere within there, more fingering weight. So I can't wait. And again, the patterns in here, I mean, just look at this pair, you guys. Oh my gosh. I think I want these to be my first fingering weight pattern that I'm going to do from this book. I was flipping through it and saw this and thought, oh yeah, that pattern is absolutely incredible. And all of the mittens in here, there's a little bit of history before and a story behind each mitten on the first page, just before you actually delve into the pattern. And the history, again, is just so incredible and magical to read. I mean, look at these. Oh my gosh, these are the rose mittens. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word, but look at these, you guys. Amazing, just incredible. These patterns, I feel like they're just calling my name. I have no ties to Norway, obviously, but it doesn't matter. I am so in love with the techniques in these books, with the history, with the beauty of the photography. It's just all so very exciting. I'm just so happy to be learning all of this, and I hope that some of you will join me. If you have any questions about them, please leave it in a comment below. Again, I will add links to everything so you can find all this information, links to the shops where you can buy these books if you're interested. My book collection is almost as intense as my actual yarn collection. It's really kind of incredible, but I love having these books on hand. It's one thing to buy an individual pattern, But to actually have these books on hand for reference, for your charts, is just amazing. So I'm really excited about that. And there's also some more really wonderful tips that Rachel gives on her podcast about flipping the patterns, because in a lot of these books, this one I believe was just recently, translated from Norwegian to English, and traditionally they only give the pattern for one hand, I think the left hand, so you have to then flip the pattern to knit the right hand. And as Rachel said, I don't know that I could get my head around that, to do an entire, I mean, over maybe a few rows maybe, but not to do an entire mitten. There's no way I could do that. So she talks about different software, different apps you can download to your phone to flip those patterns so that you have then your right hand mitten and all of the charts going in the right direction. When she talked about that, I was dancing a jig. I was like, what? I can't believe that these things exist. So there's a wealth of information on her website. And Rachel lives in the United States. Because Patricia is in Norway, she shows a lot of footage of the fjord that she lives next to and the mountains and the landscape, and it's just breathtaking. I mean, you want to hop on a plane and go visit, and the limited sunlight that they have and how important that is to her. And it's really interesting because if you think about the detail in these patterns and the limited sunlight at various times of the year, these people were almost knitting in the dark or knitting by candlelight. To get that little insight into their lives and into how they knit is just fascinating to me. I mean, I've got every light on in my house because looking at these charts, I mean, I've got a sample of, this is the Selbu, just a little peek at the Selbu chart right here. I mean, this can get blinding after a while. And what I did here, I sort of flipped the chart. As you can see, the pattern, so the actual flower pattern and the design here at the bottom is supposed to be the black, and which is also supposed to be the white in here, and I flipped it. So the background is supposed to be white and the background is white, the design is black. I decided to flip that because I just thought, I don't know, when I started these, it was such a gray day outside, and I just thought when it snows and everything just sort of looks gray in the background, but you've got all the beautiful snow coming down, and I just went with this. I just decided, and you know what, it's my mitten. I can knit it any way I want to. There are no knitting police. I loved it. It just spoke to me, and I thought how perfect and appropriate. It did take me a little while to get used to flipping the colors on the pattern because you're sort of working the opposite, so that took me a couple of minutes, but I got it, and it was just so much fun. So that's basically it right now for knitting. Yeah, I'll be back and I'll share one or two more things with you, so hang tight. So as I said, I think that's all I have for you this week regarding knitting. I don't have any sewing this week. I didn't get any sewing done, but I am planning to make these. I apologize for the glare on the pattern. I am planning on making these little baby slippers, baby shoes, and I've already picked out all of my fabrics here. I don't know, I have a Paddington, I have a Sunbonnet Sue, I found this beautiful hopscotch pattern, and then I found this. Little sheep, they're lambs and they're leaping, leaping lambs. So I can't wait. These are for a very special little girl. Can't wait to get these shoes done. I've already, let me just grab this really quick. I've already printed out my templates, so I can't wait to get started on these. It's going to be so much fun. So this is going to be, hopefully I can have some of these ready for you to show for our next episode. And that pretty much covers it, you guys. This episode is a little shorter this week, and I think that's okay. That's actually a good thing. And I'm hoping to get another episode up soon. I said that at the end of episode 9, and it was 2 weeks, and now here I am with episode 10. So I'm hoping I can get one up for you next week, but there will be more to share and more to show and more to talk about. So, oh, and it's Valentine's Day. I almost forgot. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful, love-filled day. I am wearing a sort of reddish shirt. It says, "Stay present." That is my message on this Valentine's Day, everybody. Stay present. Stay happy. I hope everyone has a really wonderful week or 2 weeks. However long it takes me to get back to you, but I will be back very soon. If you enjoyed this episode, which I hope that you did, please hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe. I am so happy to have spent a little time with you all today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I will see you all again very soon. Thank you all so much for being here and for all of the joy that you really are giving me. I'm so happy. So I thank you sincerely. I'll see you all again soon. Bye, everybody.